This is a part of our democratic process, and it's an important one.
When you look at the crowd during next month's Republican National Convention, you'll see former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard.
These conventions can be very chaotic. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of people.
Gabbard has been to conventions before. She was a candidate for the Democratic nomination in the 2020 presidential election.
I first joined the Democratic Party when I was 21 years old.
She left the Democrats in 2022 and now identifies as an independent.
Our system is set up to favor a two-party system. I think it would be great to see that change at some point in time, but it is not set up for that today.
Gabbard was the keynote speaker for the Waukesha and Milwaukee County Republican Summer Luncheon Friday in Brookfield. After her speech, she left to speak in Dane County to rally support for former President Donald Trump.
These are just a few of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party and why many people across this country are doing the same. They recognize the great challenges that we face as a country. They recognize how powerful the forces of darkness are. They recognize how the Biden-Harris administration and their allies are taking unprecedented action to destroy our democracy, to undermine the rule of law, by politicizing the justice system to go after their political opponents. Foremost among them, former President Donald Trump. What is the effect of this? The effect of this is essentially they are stealing our democracy. They're taking away our right, our fundamental right in this free country to make our own decision for ourselves, who we want to be our next president and commander-in-chief. This is not what happens in a democratic republic. This is what happens in a banana republic. And just as we see in these banana republics around the world, in dictatorships in other parts of the world, there are very real consequences to these actions amongst the people. Fear of political retribution, retaliation, fear that those in positions of great power and authority will use their power against anyone who dares to challenge their authority. I travel across the country and speak to amazing, great Americans who love our country and cherish peace and freedom. And I meet a lot of these people they call MAGA Republicans. They are the moms for liberty who are standing up for their children in small towns and big cities across the country. They are those who are proud to salute our flag and express our love for our country. They are those who stand up and defend our right to free speech, who defend our right to bear arms. It is those who have the audacity to say, as a nation, we must have secure borders.
Good evening, America. Before I begin my remarks, I'm going to do something a little uncharacteristic. A Trump is going to give up the microphone. From a young lady who said, "Dad, I want to speak at the RNC." I want to speak at the RNC because I want America to know what my grandpa is actually like. So for the first time ever on a stage, first time ever giving a speech, I want to bring out my eldest daughter and the eldest granddaughter of the President of the United States, your favorite president, Kai Madison Trump.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kai Madison Trump. I am the granddaughter of Donald Trump. I'm speaking today to share the side of my grandpa that people don't often see. To me, he's just a normal grandpa. He gives us candy and soda when our parents aren't looking. He always wants to know how we're doing in school. When I made the high honor roll, he printed it out to show his friends how proud he was of me. I know. He calls me during the middle of the school day to ask how my golf game is going and tells me all about his. But then I have to remind him that I'm in school and I'll have to call him back later. When we play golf together, if I'm not on his team, he'll try to get inside of my head. I know. And he's always surprised that I don't let him get to me. But I have to remind him I'm a Trump too. On Saturday, I was shocked when I heard that he has been shot. And I just wanted to know if he was okay. It was heartbreaking that someone would do that to another person. A lot of people have put my grandpa through hell, and he's still standing. Grandpa, you are such an inspiration, and I love you.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's good to be back in Milwaukee. This time last year, I was a candidate for U.S. president, and I'm proud to say that I achieved the impossible, which is that most of you actually know how to say my name by now. So thank you for that. It's good to be back. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis right now. Faith, patriotism, hard work, and family have disappeared, only to be replaced by race, gender, sexuality, and climate. But we're not going to win this election just by criticizing the other side. We're going to win this by standing for our own vision of who we really are. What does it mean to be a Republican in the year 2024? What does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? It means we believe in the ideals of 1776. It means we believe in merit, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. Thank you. It means the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state. These are not black ideas or white ideas. They are not even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. They are American ideas that we fought a revolution to secure. And the man who will revive these ideals in the United States of America is your next president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
So I watched the video of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania about 50 times. I think I was one of about 8 billion people around the world who watched it. And the more I watched it, the more it struck me that everything was different after that moment. Everything. This convention is different. The nation is different. The world is different. Donald Trump is different. When he stood up after being shot in the face, bloodied, and put his hand up, I thought at that moment, that was a transformation. This was no longer a man. Well, I think it was divine intervention. But the effect that it had on Donald Trump, he was no longer just a political party's nominee or a former president or a future president. This was the leader of a nation. And I think there's a difference. I've spent most of my life in Washington where the president is at the top of the pyramid, everyone wants to be the president. But if you think about it, the presidency comes with great power, obviously. But if you think about it, that is a title that is bestowed by a process of some sort that can be subverted. And in the end, it does not confer by itself, as no title does, legitimacy. Just because you call yourself the president doesn't mean that much inherently. I can call my dog the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. It doesn't mean she is. No, it's true. And you hate to say it, but it is also true, as a fact, that you could take, I don't know, a mannequin, a dead person, and make him president. No, you could. You could. I'm just saying, theoretically possible. With enough cheating, that could happen. Being a leader is very different. It's not a title. It's organic. You can't name someone a leader. A leader is the bravest man. That's who the leader is. That is true in all human organizations. This is a law of nature. And in that moment, Donald Trump, months before the presidential election, became the leader of this nation. That was the most obvious to me. And I have to say, you know, I think it changed him. I reached out to Trump within hours of it that night. And what he said to me that night, having just been shot in the face, he said not a single word about himself. He said only how amazed he was and how proud he was of the crowd, which didn't run. And I thought two things. The first thing I thought was, well, of course they didn't run. His courage gave them heart. A leader's courage gives courage to his people. And the second thing I thought was, this is the selfish guy I've been hearing about for 9 years? Really? Not a word about himself? About his people, period. And the second thing I noticed, which I don't think anyone has remarked upon in public, but I'm just going to since I don't have a script, like why not, is that he turned down the most obvious opportunity in politics to inflame the nation after being shot. To inflame the nation, which is an opportunity that almost every other politician I've ever met, and certainly his opponents, would have taken instantly. And they would have said, well, what is this? How did he get shot? Like, how did this happen? And those are real questions that we have to get to the bottom of. But in the moments, the days, the week after the shooting, he did not say that. He did his best to bring the country together. And I thought, this is the divisive figure? This is the irresponsible person? No. This is the most responsible, unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. So the question is,
a man who truly cares about people. The mainstream media likes to push the narrative that he doesn't care about anyone but himself. I absolutely know that's not the truth, because I've been friends with this guy for 25 years. I absolutely know that's not the truth, because I've been friends with this guy for 25 years. And for the people who know me, they'll know this is true. I just want to make something very clear. Nobody in the Trump campaign has ever told me what to say. Nobody tells me what to say, and I'm nobody's puppet. And I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. And I know President Trump. I know President Trump is a fighter. I've been saying this since 2015. Now look at what's happened over the last 10 years. We have all seen it with our own eyes. I'm in the tough guy business, and this man is the toughest, most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life. The higher the stakes, the harder he fights, and this guy never, ever gives up. I know President Trump is a proven leader, a fearless leader, and this country was in a much better place when he was in the Oval Office. In my mind, the choice is clear. But this election, we all get to choose. I know I'm going to choose strength and security. I know I'm going to choose opportunity and prosperity. I know I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American badass. And I'm not telling you what choice to make. And I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. I know America needs a strong leader, and the world needs a strong America. I know Donald J. Trump is the best choice for President of the United States. My fellow Americans, it is my honor to introduce the 45th and soon-to-be 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet, and moved my right ear. Lucky I didn't do. When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear, I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet, and moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage. These are great people at great risk, I will tell you, and pounced on top of me so that I would be protected. There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that. The amazing thing is that prior to the shot, if I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark, and I would not be here tonight. We would not be together. The most incredible aspect of what took place on that terrible evening in the fading sun was actually seen later. In almost all cases, as you probably know, and when even a single bullet is fired, just a single bullet, and we had many bullets that were being fired, crowds run for the exits or stampede, but not in this case. It's very unusual. This massive crowd of tens of thousands of people stood by and didn't move an inch. In fact, many of them bravely but automatically stood up looking for where the sniper would be. They knew immediately it was a sniper, and then began pointing at him. You can see that if you look at the group behind me. That was just a small group compared to what was in front. Nobody ran, and by not stampeding, many lives were saved. But that isn't the reason that they didn't move. The reason is that they knew I was in very serious trouble. They saw it. They saw me go down. They saw the blood and thought, actually most did, that I was dead. They knew it was a shot to the head. They saw the blood. And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body. For whatever reason, the doctors told me that. I said, why is there so much blood? He said, it's the ears. They bleed more. So we learned something, but they just, this beautiful crowd, they didn't want to leave me. They knew I was in trouble. They didn't want to leave me. And you can see that love written all over their faces. Incredible people. They're incredible people. Bullets were flying over us, yet I felt serene. But now the Secret Service agents were putting themselves in peril. They were in very dangerous territory. Bullets were flying right over them, missing them by a very small amount of inches. And then it all stopped. Our Secret Service sniper, from a much greater distance and with only one bullet used, took the assassin's life. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.